We're behind. They're all fired up. What we got to do? First place, our defense has got to go out there and take the ball. Then when we get the ball, we got to have 11 people that's going to do their job and try to score every time you get the football. If we do that, we'll be all right. Do that, we'll be all right.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Football University with your professor here, Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver. And yes, it is rivalry week. It is Thanksgiving week. We got a lot to talk about. But yes, we're brought here only on the CTS-Sports room, one of the greatest platforms there is. And again, this is Football University for all the football heads. Listen, we talk everything. We're going to talk. We got a loaded show tonight. Obviously, we're talking about the Iron Bowl. We're recapping the Chattanooga game, things Alabama needs to improve on moving forward, going into this heated rivalry. Iron Bowl, talking SEC news, talking NCAA news, and yes, we're talking NFL news. So, yeah, shouts out to the student section. Tell somebody about the show. Hit that like, subscribe button. This is what we all do. RTR to all the student section in here. RTR, Lori Caddell, RTR, Roll Tide, Stephen Hicks. Somebody had a great one. What was it say? Jeff Stapleton. Shouts out to Jeff Stapleton, our great. He says, beat Auburn, Roll Tide. Yeah, that's what the focus is about, beating Auburn. It is about, shouts out to Justin Summerlin, who's one of our great analysts here on Football University. So get everybody come in. But let's get the show started again. This is what we're going to talk about. So let's start with the UTC recap. Alabama had won the game versus UTC, University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. We won 66-10, pretty dominant fashion. Alabama jumped up to a big 21 lead. I love Coach Saban. Wanted to kind of keep the offensive momentum going, not kind of take a pause versus what a lot of people call an SEC cupcake Saturday. But Tennessee Chattanooga, I thought they had a pretty good defense. And, you know, Alabama won in dominant fashion. Now, you know, these next two games are really, really, really important. But like I said, what I've been preaching in the past couple of weeks, one game at a time, one game at a time. We need to be 1-0, continue to stack wins. The playoffs is going to work out. Alabama's got to be 1-0, 1-0, and that's the mindset we have to have. It's Iron Bowl weekend. Yes, we're playing those Auburn Tigers down there on the plains. But I want to talk about some things Alabama's got to improve on, you know, moving forward. We got to talk about improvements offensively, defensively. We've got to discuss, you know, the mindset we have having. We're kind of going to break down Auburn, you know, getting ready for them, going to Jordan-Hare. You know, that could be a tricky stadium to play in. So we're going to discuss it here at Football University. But before we get in that, let's get into the student section. Let's get to a few comments. Shouts out to my guy, Justin Summerlin. Justin Summers says, Link, baby, let's go. Let all sayers know, let all naysayers know, roll tide roll. That's what it's about here. Shouts out to B Jam. He says, roll tide to the student section. The student section is the greatest comment section there is. We know we get fans from all over, but I just want to shout out the student section before I get into my next topic. But yeah, Alabama, we had a dominant win versus UTC. Chattanooga came out dominant. Started, firing on all cylinders. Milroe got going with Burton, so I think that's huge. We're going to need Burton moving forward these next 2 games. Like I said, Alabama's still in the mindset of a 1-0 each week, 1-0 each week. We've been in the playoff for about the past, 8-9 weeks now, ever since the Tennessee loss. And I think we're continue to have a dominant performance, but we still got to continue to have dominant performances moving forward. So we had one versus UTC. Chattanooga. One thing I love about it, we got a lot of guys, reps, player, and experience. So that's going to help generate depth for us on the defensive and offensively and special team side of the ball. But, like I said, Alabama jumped up 21-0. Offense was rolling, but we kind of hit a little lull in the second quarter. So we've got to be able to have those, continue to have that momentum and continue to take it up each level, each quarter, each drive. We got to continue to execute, have continuity. Don't get complacent because we're going to need it playing these next 2 games. But all in all, it's good to see, Alabama have a dominant win. We've got a lot of players. We played Ty Simpson. We played Dylan Lonergan. I think Richard Young got in the end zone. Jam Miller, Justice Haynes. We got a lot of guys that we're going to lean on moving forward. Kendrick Law looked really good. So it's just exciting to see Alabama have a dominant win. But now, since it's now, the 24-hour rule, now it's time to turn our eyes to the Iron Bowl. This is the Iron Bowl week. And yes, we know Jeff Stapleton that Auburn lost to New Mexico State. It was great, but to me, I think that just sets up even more. Alabama's got to be even that much more hyper-focused, laser-focused, because playing a team that comes off, tough victory, we've got to be super focused. We got to have the right attitude, the right mindset, and that attitude, we got to be dominant. We have to be dominant. We have to be the more physical team. Listen, Hugh Freeze, he usually has his teams prepared to play Alabama and Coach Nick Saban. We know the history in the past with Ole Miss. They know how he's going to have those guys ready to play physical. And what better way to do it than coming off, a bad victory? A bad loss. It was a big victory for New Mexico State. But what better way to do it coming back at home, kind of trying to redeem yourself. And it's a rivalry again. This is one of the most intense rivalries in college football. Me personally, I think it's the number one rivalry. Shouts out to Lushan, my brother. Roll Tide, roll to you. But to me, I think what separates this rivalry from all the other rivalries, it's in state. Ohio State, Michigan, they're border rivalries. Yeah, but you having to, in the state of Alabama, you're having to deal with in the same house. So to me, this rivalry is second to none, and it's always tricky going to Jordan-Hare, but it makes the victory so much sweet going into a tough environment. Jordan-Hare, it's going to be rock and rolling. Probably going to have Cam Newton there, Bo Jackson. Who else comes out to this game? Charles Barkley be on the sideline. You know how it is. They bring everybody out when it comes to the Iron Bowl. But like I said earlier, my previous point, we got to have that dominant attitude, mindset, and we've got to be the more physical team. I'm telling you, Hugh Freeze is going to have those guys firing on all cylinders. Listen, like I said in the previous shows, the SEC is like the NFL. You look at the Denver Broncos right now. Everybody had them dead to rights or whatnot, whatever you want to say. They're won 4 straight. They beat some good teams. Buffalo Bills, Minnesota Vikings, who was hot. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You got to be able to come. I know the movie Any Given Sunday. You got to come prepared any given Saturday. So Alabama's got to have the right mindset going into Jordan-Hare, playing Hugh Freeze, who I said Auburn. They're coming off that New Mexico State lost. So they're going to be hungry. They're going to be looking to avenge themselves. Rivalry game. They're going to have a lot of emotions. And like I said, Hugh usually has his guys prepared. So he's going to have them ready to be physical. They're going to come out ready to, put up a good fight versus Alabama. But yeah, Alabama's got to come in and not come in with, being too cocky, confident. We've got to come in with that hunger mindset. I've been saying it the past 2 weeks. Alabama's got to have that MJ, Kobe mindset. No matter who the opponent is, we're looking to impose our will. And Alabama's going to have to impose their will for 60 minutes. So we got to have the right mindset, and we've got to have that be more physical mindset. So let's get in the student section. Y'all are rocking and rolling. Shouts out to my brother, Lushan. He said, hit that like button. This is Football University. This is basically this show for all the football heads, but we just kind of just lay it out there. So Justin Summerlin, shouts out to Lushan. Justin Summerlin said, Matt, there's a great NFL game on tonight. Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. Yes, this is the Super Bowl rematch, and I do think they are playing in Kansas City. I like the Eagles tonight. I think they are more of a complete team, especially offensively and defensively. But as you know, like I said, the Kansas City Chiefs lost to the Denver Broncos, but then they went to Germany, beat up on Tua and the Miami Dolphins. So Steve Spagnuolo, they know how to, come up with a good game plan versus tough teams. So it's going to be interesting, but I like the Eagles fly tonight versus the Chiefs. So we got a really good, so I think Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Julio Jones, I think all those guys, Landon Dickerson, Steen, I think all those guys, Eli Riggs, Josh Jobe, I think they pull it out tonight. So let's stay in the student section. Lushan says, yeah, we hate the colors orange. Teams with multiple animals as mascots. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I know for me as an Alabama fan, my family, we don't wear much orange. It's hard for me to wear orange. It's hard for me to wear peach color. The closest thing to orange I can probably get to is like pink. That's about it. I can't even do salmon pink, but orange is not in my color wheel. Listen, I bleed crimson. So, yeah, we don't like the color orange, whether that's Florida, Auburn, Tennessee. That is not in our color wheel. So, shouts out to Roll Tide and Rise Up. He says, RTR. Yeah, Justin Summerlin says in the chat, in the student section, Eagles will win. Yeah, I like the Eagles on the road. Rise Up and Roll Tide. We're going to discuss the Falcons a little bit later. So, let's get back to this Iron Bowl. Yeah, like Lushan says, we got to play tough. We've got to be able to play tough. And we've got to be ready to come out and play. So, like Stephen Hicks says, everybody hates, Auburn, raising and pinky waving. Yeah, we do hate Auburn. It's a rivalry game. You can throw the record books out. Listen, Auburn losing to New Mexico State has nothing to do with this game on Saturday. So, we've got to be able to put what's in the past and be able to prepare what's in front of us. Like Coach Saban always say, be prepared, be where your feet off. And we're going to have to do it because I'm quite sure Hugh Freeze is going to be trying to make a statement in his first Iron Bowl by being competitive. And we got to take it to them. We got to impose our will for 60 minutes. We got to have the dominant mindset. We got to be the more physical team like we were versus Kentucky, and those type of things. So, like I said, we got to have the MJ Kobe mindset. So, I know we had the dominant win versus, like Jeff Saban says, you got to have faith in your team. Good times, bad, but we're seeing the bad now. Let's enjoy the good times. Yeah, you got to have faith in your team. And, I'm quite sure Hugh's going to have that type of faith in the guys and get those guys prepared because they got nothing to lose. And some of the toughest opponents are teams that have nothing to lose. You got to impose your will on these teams, get these guys right. We got to be physical on defense. So things I know we got to improve on offensively. We've got to continue the momentum. I think we can probably improve the running game even more so. We're going to have to be able to run the ball these next two Saturdays going against Auburn and Georgia, but right now it's Georgia going on the road in the SEC. You got to be able to establish the run, running the game, running the ball. I'm talking about with Jason McClellan, Roydell Williams. He was a big spark. It looks like he's just, really seeing things. I think he's kind of peaking right now. Jam Miller's kind of peaking. I think it's important we get Jason McClellan and them the running game started rolling. Going into this Iron Bowl, we need to keep that momentum, that running ball, running the game, running the ball with our running backs for 4 quarters, 60 minutes. And as always, Milroe, he had a big game, but I know after the game he talked about the throws that he missed. I know he missed a throw with a deep ball to Isaiah Bond. I think he missed Jermaine Burton on a throw or two. But other than that, he was in his bag. I think he was like 8 for 8 going into the second quarter. And then we kind of hit that kind of lull in the second quarter. That's why I said Alabama's got to be able to keep that momentum, take it up each higher, continue to execute at a higher level each drive, continue to improve throughout the game. That's one of the mindsets we got to have. Continue to improve throughout the game. So Jalen Miller's going to continue to improve. I think he needs to just continue to improve on, his clock, tempo, his touch on, intermediate throws, making sure he's setting his feet, having good pocket awareness, clock in the the quarterback pocket clock, tempo, know where his check downs are. You don't have to hit the home run a lot of times, but a lot of times that check down is there. So Milroe he's the most improved player. I haven't seen a player this much improved with the mindset from a quarterback at a major school, nothing like Milroe. So kudos to Tommy Reese, that whole staff, what they do. But yeah, I think it's important that Milroe continues to improve because listen, Milroe has an opportunity, to go to New York. Me personally, I still think Jaden Daniels is probably my Heisman vote getter, but I think you can throw Michael Penix in there. I think you can throw Bo Nix in there if you wanted to. There's going to be an argument for those 3 guys, maybe Marvin Harrison, but we all know it's a quarterback race. So I think Milroe has an opportunity to really, showcase himself these next 2 weeks. Maybe possibly get an invite to New York. So, but yeah, Milroe continue to improve. We've got to continue to improve the running the ball. I think the offensive line is coming along, and we've just got to, continue. Tommy Reese continue to get in his bag. So before I get into the defensive side of improvement, let's go to the student section. I know y'all are rocking and rolling. Shouts out to 6-0, one of our great student section. Student section students, fans, great people right here. Justin Summerlin has a great comment. Wow, y'all are rocking and rolling. Let's take a break and address these comments in the student section. Yes, we need to establish the line of scrimmage and dominate the trenches. Got to have great communication, especially on the road in Jordan-Hare. And I'm going to tell you why Jordan-Hare is a tricky place to play. I got it written down. Things we need to be aware of going into Jordan-Hare. In-state rivalry, going into Jordan-Hare, it gets really, 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 really loud. Another thing about Auburn's, I'm going to talk about their field. Their field is very tricky because they don't have such a flat surface like, most SEC teams. They have a big crown in the middle of the field, kind of like most high school fields where they have a crown to the crown is just a big hump in the field for drainage purposes. When it rains, the rains kind of drains. So Auburn has a huge crown. So I think the players need to be aware of that, be aware of how loud the stadium. They need to make sure they have the right cleats, not only the right mindset, but kind of get comfortable, getting the feel of the stadium, being on the road in Jordan-Hare, because it's going to get loud. So those are some things we got to be aware of. Listen, another thing we got to be aware of, we got to bring the physicality. I'm telling you, Hugh Freeze is going to have his guys ready to play. I've seen it so many times in the past where Hugh Freeze has had his guys playing ultra physical when you weren't expecting them to be that physical versus Alabama. And that's on all 3 phases, offensively, defensively, and special teams. So I talked about tricky, loud stadium in Jordan-Hare. We got to, be able to handle noise, communicate. To Justin Summerlin's point, we got to have the right clicks. We got to be able – listen, I told you about the field. Auburn has a tricky field. Iron Bowl, they do weird things. They might water the grass right before the game, and kind of have it a little slippery. So it's important when our players get there, they need to make sure they have the right cleats and get the big feel from the on the field, up and down the 50-yard line, all the spaces they can get a good feel for. Will Riker needs to get a feel of just about every place on that field, because Auburn is a tricky place. These are things we need to go in. We need to kind of have the mindset, kind of be aware of. So I mentioned the loud stadium, the right cleats, field difference, crown in the field versus flat field. And I kind of mentioned this earlier. Auburn has nothing to lose. This will make their season this year. Most teams, they always, they prepare for the Iron Bowl. It's been Alabama teams in the past, whether it's Bear or Gene Stallings or Curry or whoever, they were the better team, but Auburn found a way to win. So listen, this Iron Bowl is no joke. This is a rivalry. You got to throw the record books out. The book, I know Auburn lost to New Mexico State. That has no bearing on this game Saturday. Listen, they're going to be ready to rock and roll. I'm just telling you, Auburn is a tricky place. So listen, we got to come prepared. We got to be aware of the loud stadium, be aware of the field, get a better feel for the field. And Auburn has nothing to lose in. And Hugh's going to have those guys ready to rock and roll. So I think it's important that Alabama, impose their will, be the more physical team, because we got to establish this line of scrimmage like Justin Summer, get that running game going. That way we can get in, be dominant, and get out and get ready for the SEC championship. So let's go to the student section. Great comment there by Justin Summerlin. Let me get in my comments. Y'all are rocking and rolling. Let's see. 6-0 says, Matt, if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, will the committee move Texas to 4, knowing Georgia had a cupcake schedule and keep SEC teams off the playoffs brackets? This is why I love the student section. Y'all know how to make it happen. I mean, I had a comment. One of my topics was talking about the SEC unbiased that I feel like we're getting from college football. And we're going to start with the playoff committee. Now, I don't know what's going on with the playoff committee. Again, Alabama came out number 8. I still think Alabama's number 8 in the AP and the coaches poll, maybe. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they just don't want Alabama. I think it's some type of bias. I don't know if it's fear, because they know if Alabama gets into the playoff, they know what time it is. I think if Alabama would have gotten the playoff last year, Alabama would have been in the championship game, been a much better competitive game than TCU and Georgia, I'll tell you that. But I do think it's some SEC unbiased. Now, when it comes to the committee, I think they're having different standards from ranking different teams. And, me personally, I don't like to, belabor on things that we can't control. But this is what we do here at Football University. And I gotta call a spade a spade. I think the committee is obviously being very biased. Do you not know the Michigan AD is on the committee? So to me, that should be a red flag. I don't know if he should be on the committee, especially when you look at things with Jim Harbaugh allegations. You look at certain things. You're looking at how they're ranking teams. I don't know what the committee is up to. I don't know why they're not adding strength of schedule. I don't know why they're not adding teams that are peaking at the right time. This is all the things that they said last year, and I looked it up. I did research. This is the same committee, and they need more football guys. I think in a perfect world, I wish we would have the BCS computer rankings with the playoff, a 14 playoff. That way, you got AI, you got an algorithm right there. You don't have to put it up to man. We just take the 4 top teams, and just put them in the top 4 playoff, because then they're going to incorporate strength of schedule, all that stuff. But the committee, to me, I think their one red flag is my biggest issue is with Oregon and Washington. Now, Washington, I understand they're number 5, but yet you rank Florida State because they're undefeated. We'll talk about them later, but you rank Florida State at 4 because they're undefeated, because you say, oh, their best win is LSU. Well, Alabama's beating LSU. Ole Miss is beating LSU. This and that. Then you rank. Last week you put Missouri in the top 10. You put them at number 9, right behind Alabama. So you would think that Texas and Alabama would probably jump Oregon, but no. All these teams in the SEC, they have not moved up, but yet Oregon can play Texas Tech. They're not playing all these top teams, and yet they're ranked ahead. Alabama and Texas. I think Alabama and Texas should be ranked ahead of Oregon if this one-loss team, just because of strength of schedule and how the teams are playing right now. I think you can make the argument for Alabama to be in front of Texas right now. Now, that's me, but I just think right now, if you ask me who the top 2 teams in college football right now that are playing, it's Alabama and Georgia. I feel like Alabama and Georgia, if they were to play, in this play the top 2 teams in the Big Ten, Alabama and Georgia is going to go undefeated. Obviously, they're going to go undefeated in the 2 SEC team, top 2 teams versus the ACC. Was that Florida State and maybe North Carolina? I'm confident Alabama and Georgia beat those 2 teams. You look at the Big 12. Who's it? Oklahoma, Texas. I'm confident Alabama and Georgia will beat those 2 teams. You look in the Pac-12, the top 2 teams, Oregon, Washington. I'm confident Alabama and Georgia will beat those 2 teams. So that's how I look at it. And I think the committees, they're just doing different things. But I think it's important, Alabama, not to get caught up into it, but use it as motivation, especially when those CFP college football rankings do come out. But I do think if Alabama does beat Georgia, first we got to beat Auburn first and foremost, and we got to kind of look convincingly versus Auburn. I don't think it needs to be a close game. I think it needs to be at least 14 points on the road. Looking at like a 38-13, something like that. It's got to be pretty convincing, dominant win, especially, this is how it is. You're going to be the biggest game on national TV. Everybody's watching the Iron Bowl and everybody's watching the Ohio State-Michigan game. So Alabama's can't be looking kind of shaky. The committee's not already. I think they have some type of unbiased already. So I think Alabama needs to, use that and be even more dominant. We need to be super dominant versus Auburn, because that's going to set up for a huge matchup in the SEC championship, which I think is another playoff. You can maybe say it's the de facto national championship, in my opinion. I think these are the top teams in America. But yeah, I just think Alabama's got to be dominant. So with that being said, that to answer your question, Sixo, I think Alabama and Texas still kind of outside looking in just because they have the way they rank Oregon. But I do think we need some help. Maybe Oregon State could maybe, knock off of Oregon. Maybe, Washington State can knock out of Washington. Maybe a Florida State. Florida State unfortunately lost Jordan Travis, and I hate to see any player go down. But Florida State has to go to Tallahassee. They have to go to Gainesville to the Swamp, and this would be a good opportunity. Billy Napier, if you're listening out there, we could use you to come through for the SEC. If you could beat Florida State, I think that kind of gives us a lot of breathing room to really kind of move up, because I think they're going to drop. So I definitely think Alabama moves up to maybe 7 or 6. And then if Washington or Oregon could lose, then Alabama's right there where they need to be, especially if they beat Georgia to get in the playoff. Because if you beat Georgia, they're going to be number 1, number 2 team. I think Alabama gets into the playoffs. But like I said, Alabama's got to not focus on that. Alabama's got to focus on dominating Auburn for 60 minutes come Saturday. So great comment right there, 6-0. Let's stay in the Sioux section. Y'all are rocking and rolling. 6-0 says, our best bet is Louisville knocking FSU. Yeah, I definitely can see that. Louisville's a pretty good team. They have a lot going on, but I would love for FSU to have a loss before championship Saturday. You know, I mean, they could, if we can kind of start getting some things, it's like a jigger. If we can get them to kind of fall already, then that just helps moves us up in the right. And then I don't know who Texas plays. I don't know. Justin Summer, Lushan, let me know who Texas plays in the Big 12 championship. I don't know if they're going to play Oklahoma, but that could be kind of interesting. I think they maybe play Kansas State or somebody. I don't know. But anyway, I think it'll be good if Florida can maybe, kind of get the ball rolling and maybe take out Florida State. Especially, to me personally, I don't think Florida State's been looking that great. I think Florida, coming off playing a tough game, Missouri's a really good team. Now, Florida was kind of going neck and neck. I think they need to handle business at home. I don't think they need to lay another egg like they did versus Arkansas. Florida State's, they've been winning, but the games haven't been as dominant as I would think they would playing at home. So, it'd be interesting to see how they handle business. So, somebody says, I think Texas plays Texas Tech. Okay, cool. Thank you, Jeff Stapleton. So let's stay in the student section. Jeff Stapleton says Alabama knows they need to leave, no doubt. Like I said, my theme, we got to have the right mindset, the right attitude. We got to be able to be dominant for 60 minutes. Like, we got to impose our will, continue to elevate throughout the game, because we're going to need it. We just can't make the game close or keep going back and forth with momentum. We need to be aware. We need to have the right mindset to have a dominant victory in Jordan Hare. So shouts out to Anitra 6-0, Roll Tide and Rise Up. Let's see. B. Jammin says, Oregon plays for style points. We play for Natty's Roll Tide. That's what we do. Oregon, I mean, you look at their schedule, they're not really playing anybody. And we're going to get in back to the topic I mentioned that, this whole pack, SEC unbiased. You can tell by they're trying to hype Michael Penix and Bo Nix up over Jay Daniels. Me personally, Jay Daniels is the best quarterback in the country. To me, he gets my Heisman vote. I mean, this guy, I think, accounted for 8 touchdowns Saturday. He's unreal, and I feel like he put a lot of, as good as the Alabama defense, I feel like he put a lot of caution. I don't want to say fear, but he was such a threat with his arm, with his legs, with what he like to do with the weapons that they have at LSU. I don't see Michael Penix or Bo Nix being in that type of offense and doing the things that Jay Daniels is doing. So, but I still think it's some type of SEC unbiased going on within the Heisman vote as well, the playoff committee. So, I think Alabama, we got a score prediction. Roll Tide and Rise Up says 42-17. Listen, I hope it's a 40 burger. I'm giving Alabama right now 34-38 range. Maybe 34, 38, 14, 13, something like that. Now, I would love Alabama 56-10. That would be amazing. But I could easily see it happen. Alabama's just going to have to just jump on Auburn. For that first half is going to have to be just dominant. We need to be putting up at least 20. I always say the key, we need to put up the number for Alabama is 31. It's got to be 31. I think that's 4 touchdowns and a field goal. We got to get 31 at halftime, because I feel like, coming out of halftime, we could strike first, maybe get a field goal, and then score a couple touchdowns later. That puts us in that 40-50 range. But they've got to get to 31. 31 is always that magic number for Alabama. So just give me all the sauce here on Football University. Lushan says, listen, y'all are rocking and rolling the student section. That's what makes the student section so unique. He says, man, I have an idea. Let's switch schedules. If they played our schedule, our team's ranked in front of us, still undefeated. Great comment. I mean, these are some of the things I think the committee's got to kind of start thinking. Like, is Alabama played that schedule? What would that look like? If Oregon play Alabama's schedule, what would that look like? And if Oregon play Alabama right now, who's going to win? Who's really the top 2 teams playing right now? They play if Alabama and Georgia played Oregon and Washington, 9 times out of 10, the committee's going to say, dang, I think it's going to be Alabama and Georgia is going to win. So these are the things that I think that kind of balance it out, which I don't think the committee is doing right now. So, I feel like they're just hurting their demise as much as they're trying to hate the SEC and hate on Alabama. It's going to come where Alabama gets in that playoff and they know what time it is. You already know. And plus, the ratings, Alabama brings so much ratings. Hey, say what you want to not. People love to watch either Saban, Alabama. They love to see teams try to beat Alabama. That's what draws the big TV ratings. Why do you think CBS is so glad to get Alabama? Why do you think ESPN is so glad to get Alabama? Because people love to watch teams try to beat greatness. So you're going to automatically going to have better ratings because the ratings last year were not that great. Say what you wanted to say. I think they lost money ratings-wise trying to pull the stuff that they did last year with the playoff committee. So like I said, I think the playoff committee needs more football minds. It says it's going to be football minds, but I'm looking at that committee, and it's not football minds. You can tell it's agendas. You can tell it's bias. You can tell they're wishy-washy and how they rank teams, and you can tell it's just haters out there on the committee. So, yeah, I said it here first. Yeah, committee, come at me. It is what it is. So let's stay in the student section. 6-0, it can't be because every team in the top 8 have had a game like that or worse. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I think Oregon should be, but like I said, I think Oregon should be behind Texas and Alabama just because of who they play. Like, I feel like Alabama and Texas have played, especially Alabama. Alabama's played a way tougher schedule than Oregon. Like, Oregon, yeah, they got the loss to Washington, but that should not, yeah, they lost to Washington, but when you put Texas, Alabama, and Oregon, and you're saying, all these teams are equal, I don't know why you justifying Oregon ahead of Alabama when Alabama's got wins versus Ole Miss, Tennessee, LSU, who else? Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas A&M was ranked. Like, Alabama's been putting together some. We played a lot of teams in the top 25, and Oregon has not beaten anybody outside of the top 25. I don't believe in the top 40. So you look at Texas. Texas beat Alabama, but they lost to Oklahoma. Like, I don't see how you justify Alabama and Texas being behind Oregon. That just shows you bias at that, because if you got Florida State in the top 4 because you're saying Florida State's undefeated and their best win is LSU, well, shouldn't that same formula or calculation be for Alabama because Alabama beat LSU? It's just not makes sense. That's why I said it's not consistent. But we're going to talk about it. It's Auburn week. Y'all got me riled up in this section. But it's what we do at Football University. We find ways to talk it out. Jeff Saban says, putting TCU in was a major mistake. And, they were just trying to keep Alabama out. Alabama was number 5, I believe. They wanted to put this. They lost their championship game. Now, Alabama had 2 losses, but every domino had to happen. So, everything worked out perfectly, and they still didn't put Alabama in there because they knew what time it was, and it hurt them. It hurt the committee in ratings. I don't care if the committee is about money and revenue, then you need to make sure you are putting the top 4 teams and justify it. That's all I gotta say. So that's not a student section. So B. James says Will Riker needs just 10 more points. Yeah, he does. I mean, I think he needs 10 more points to be the NCAA points leader. I think he would get that. That's why I said, Will, listen. It's about Auburn. We need to focus on Auburn. Once we beat Auburn, like I said, we got to have that Kobe mindset. Job's not finished. Once we get the SEC championship, hopefully we dominate Georgia. It's going to be a challenging game. Georgia presents a lot of challenges in what they do scheme-wise, defensively, offensively. But job's not finished regardless. We got to have that Kobe type of mindset. But yeah, Will Riker, like I said, going to Auburn, things we got to be aware of. Where Auburn's got a tricky stadium, loud stadium. Make sure we got the right clicks. Make sure we've got the get a better feel for their field, because it's not a flat field. They got this huge crown in the middle of their field. I'm telling you, I played there twice. I know how Auburn Stadium is. I know how loud it gets. We're gonna have to be hitting on all cylinders. So Joe Stapleton says that's why the committee doesn't know anything. Lujan said these are the question statements that the committee is making with these ratings. Lujan said Texas and Oklahoma is the most likely championship game. I think that'll be a good game to see what happens. So let's go back to the next topic. I talked about Auburn. Starts out the student section. Y'all are amazing. Let's talk about things Alabama needs to improve on. I talked about the offensive things we need to improve on. Talked about continue to run the ball, be physical, run the ball with our running backs. Miro needs to just continue. You just can have that great rapport with the receivers. Get back on the same page with Bond, deep balls. You got it with Burton. Continue to have that bond with Bond. Continue to get that touch, timing, accuracy, just continue to improve. Now, I want to shift to the defense. I think the biggest thing Alabama's got to improve on is 17. Trevor Marshall, if he's going to play, he's got to be able to improve. Like, he's got to be that guy. And if he's going to play and he's going to continue to make small little mistakes, I know he's a downhill runner, but I think that one drive, I think he got blocked or something and then sprung the running back for a touchdown. Like, Alabama's got to be able, things we got to improve on, especially first Auburn in these next 2 weeks. UTC had a 100-yard rusher. Alabama hasn't given up a 100-yard rusher in I don't know how long. Maybe the LSU, maybe Jay Names, I don't know. But we've got to be able to stop the run. This is going to be important. We run the ball these next 2 weeks, but we've got to be able to stop the run. We can't have any, 100-yard rushers, because teams are going to look at that and try to stop that. So, like I said, if 17 is going to play, he can't be, missing tackles, missing block, taking bad angles, slipping out tackles, making mistakes. I think if he's going to do that, go ahead and put Blackshire in the rotation. I think Blackshire brings a lot of type of physicality. I think we can do a lot of different things defensively, maybe add him on the edge, those type of things. But 17 must improve. Like I said, UTC found rhythm in that second quarter with a backup starting freshman quarterback. They were able to run the ball and have put together some scoring drives. So Alabama's got to be able to stop that momentum from opposing teams. Hugh Freeze is going to try to exploit all those type of matchups. You look at Georgia, Mike Bobo. So we've got to be able to be locked in for 60 minutes. We can't let teams get rhythm like that. We got to impose our will, be able to stop the run. 17 must improve. I love another great thing. We were able to generate more depth. I think Christian Story played his best game with the big pick. And Devontae Smith is coming back. Devontae Smith, I think that's going to help us with a lot of depth at that safety position, especially with the absence of Jaden Key. I think Devontae Smith gives us a lot more athleticism, a kind of physicality, a kind of what we want to do in the secondary. Christian Story's coming along with his confidence. So, I think those guys are really going to help get in the rotation of what we like to do in the secondary. And those are the type of things we need to improve on. Defensively, I mentioned offensively. Now, special teams, this is what I wanted to discuss. I know Caleb Downs, he's all world. He's the best one at the top. Now, he could be up for the Heisman. I say Caleb Downs, he needs to be in New York easily, with coming in as a freshman. He took a great punt return back. But we know Kool-Aid had the big fumble. I want to say Kool-Aid got to continue to keep his confidence at a high level. I just think Kool-Aid just needs to continue to work on his technique. Near leg, near shoulder, fielding the punt, catching the punt with confidence, seeing it off the foot, because we're going to need him and Caleb Downs moving forward these next 2 weeks. We're going to have 2 confident punt returners back there because Caleb Downs, yeah, he had a big return versus UTC, but it's different animal going into Jordan Hare on the road playing these top teams. So I think it's important that Kool-Aid continues to keep his confidence and develop as being that guy on the punt return, being that punt returner, catching the ball. Even when he catches it and he's running high and tight, Kool-Aid, high and tight. These little things are what separate great players from elite players. We know you're an elite DB cornerback, but just being an elite all-around player, in my opinion. So we need to keep that. Like we mentioned, Will Reichert, he needs to kind of, make sure he's hitting on his accuracy, from different parts of the field, because we're going to need him these next couple of games. So, special teams, we've got to be able to improve. So I mentioned offensively, defensively, special teams and things we need to be aware. I mentioned the SEC unbiased that there is. So before we talk about the rest of the SEC, let's go to the student section. Let's see. Great comment right here. Yeah, Kool-Aid is just clowning around. He's only hurting his draft stock. I agree. I think Kool-Aid to me was going into the season was like easily a top 10, top 12 pick. But I think, he's so talented. He's been so talented. I think he has just been relying on his talent. Now he's got all the talent. I think he's got the right mindset. I just think he needs to put the technique with it, the little things, technical things, near leg knees short, seeing the ball off the foot, high and tight, carrying the ball, then, once you get in the open field, then you can maybe loosen it up or whatnot. But, when you're going in traffic, don't care about loosening the ball, seeing the ball, having aware, knowing how to deceive. One thing I give Caleb Downs credit, it was a high punt and, he backed up and, he fooled the punt team by going the opposite way, acting like he was catching it and the ball went in the end zone. So I think those little things, to your point, Kool-Aid is such a great player. If he can hit it, Kool-Aid, this is your time. I need you to be like Kobe. I need you to be like MJ. Be that dominant player. Like, you're so dominant. You need to have that type of mindset. Like, don't be like James Harden. Be like Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Be like Kobe. Be like MJ and Kool-Aid. This is what we do at Football University. We're so confident in you. We just want to see the best for you. We want to see you maximize your potential out there. So let's stay in the student section. Mr. Davis, Mo Davis, RTR, shouts out. Lucian, yeah, we need to stop the run. Yeah, we gave up 100-yard rusher, even though we were dominant 66-10, but teams, they're gonna say, man, listen, this defense is they gave up 100-yard rusher to UTC. Maybe we can exploit that. We can maybe run the ball down their throats. So Alabama's got to be able to stop the run these next 2 weeks and be physical and at the point of attack. So shouts out to Carla Hitton in the building, RTR. Matt, what's the latest on Lawson? That's our senior caller on defense. I don't know what the latest on him. I do think he'll probably play our versus in the Iron Bowl. I think they did not want to play those guys versus UTC. I think they want to use it to get them healthy. Now, I think if he had to play, they probably could have played him. But I think, the smart thing to do is kind of let those guys heal up, kind of see the game, things like that. So let's see. Sean Murphy, Devontae Smith are dogs. Yeah, those guys are dogs. Like, I don't know why 17 is still making these mistakes. Like, it's the little things. Like, I don't know why you're still making these small mistakes, not hitting the right gap, not taking the right angle, not having the best eye discipline. You're improving, but we're 9 games into the season? You need to be that guy, that dominant. So listen, you got some dogs behind you. Kendrick Blackshire is so hungry to make plays because he was making plays at the beginning of the year. So listen, you can't be making these mistakes moving forward. That's all I got to say. Joe Stubbs make a great comment about the committee. The committee should be made of ex-football players and coaches, not politicians that never played a game. Yeah, I looked at some of the stuff I looked at the committee and I'm like, this is obviously some type of agenda, some type of politics being played. If you're gonna go that route, you still need to have either AI or the BACS rankings, but just have the BCS rankings. That way all the teams in the top 10 know what they need to do to get in that top 4. When you put it into the human, have the BCS rankings, but just rank the top 4. Use the 14 playoff with the BCS. I think that makes sense in my opinion. We got all this technology. You can incorporate strength of schedule into the formula. You can incorporate ranked opponents. Win top 20 opponents. Like, you can have all that and just put that way everybody knows what they need to do to get in the top 4. That's all I'm saying. So great comment, Joe Stapleton. So LaShawn says, great comment. LaShawn says, well, good thing is the run-based team, so Marshall should, in theory, show out versus Bring Me Black Bashar. Yeah, you think it would show out, but a good offensive coordinator, they're going to see 17. They're going to try to exploit. They're going to either try to run it. And, what Kentucky was able to do with Liam Cohen as the offensive coordinator, they did quick fake, play action run and was hitting the dumping throws to tight ends. And we know how good of a tight end room that Georgia has with Brock Bowers and Delp and all these guys with their play action game. So it's going to be important that, like I said, 17's got to improve. If not, put 40 out there. I think 40 is ready to go. Yeah, but looking at next year, I don't know about Riss. Downs returning full time, but Downs is just a ball player, man. He's got good feel. Somebody said, I thought Bond was going to be the permanent turn soon. What haven't we seen him? I mean, we might see him moving forward. I don't know what. I just still think, regardless who's back there, for this year, Kool-Aid still needs to be in that rotation punt return. He's got to have that confidence, and he's just got to do – with Kool-Aid, he's ultra talented. He's just got to do the little things that much more better. That's going to take him to that new height. That's going to put him back up in the top, 12 of the draft stock or whatnot. Just those little things, because you don't want teams to knock you and say, hey, why are you, football 101, to carry a ball high and tight. He's played receiver. He's played offense, so he knows you got to carry. So that's what we just want the best for Kool-Aid. So, so I think it's important that Kool-Aid continues to be that confident and have that confidence out there. So we are going in. So let's go to my next topic. Let's talk about the SEC. I know we talked about, the SEC championship. So we know Georgia had a big victory going into Knoxville, 38-10 versus the Vols, doing what they were able to do. Like I mentioned earlier, Florida lost to Missouri. Missouri was able to pull that game away. What does I say? Florida was able to beat Missouri. Where's my teams that I had? Anyway, Florida was able to. Auburn lost to New Mexico State. That's not going to have any bearing on the game Saturday. They're going to come out ready to rock and roll. And like I said, LSU, Jay Daniels, and I'm going to touch about the Heisman. I think Jay Daniels is the best player in the country. And I wouldn't be surprised if Milroe has a ball out these next couple of games. I wouldn't be surprised why he doesn't get an invite to New York. I think right now, I think he's probably out playing Bo Nix with ease. Michael Penix, it's Pac-12 guys, but what defenses are they playing against? So, that's my whole argument. But to me, I think Jay Daniels is the best player in the country. He's done it versus top defenses. He's done it consistently. So, for me, here at Football University, Jay Daniels is my Heisman vote getter. SEC was dominant. So, like I said, I think right now Alabama's got to be focused on being 1-0 versus Auburn. So let's talk about the NCAA and kind of the landscape across college football. I mentioned earlier FSU lost Jordan Travers. That was a big loss. You hate to see any kid get hurt. I think he tweeted out today that his college career is over. You hate that for that kid. But I think Florida, this is a good opportunity, for Florida to maybe make some noise in this rivalry game. Florida State's going to be emotional. They're going to be wanting to do it for Travis. So we need to have we need to have a little help moving forward. We need one of those top 4 teams to kind of lose. We know Ohio State, Michigan losers going to lose, but whoever wins the game, we need them to blow the other team out. I got Ohio State in the game. I think, just with what's going on, the rivalry, I think they're going to try to really put it on Michigan. I think the game's up in Ohio State, so it's going to be interesting to see. One of those teams are going to lose. Then if we could get like a Florida State to lose, that would be huge. If we can get I know Texas plays Texas Tech, but we get one of the Oregon or Washington teams to lose. We get 2 teams to lose. I think that helps us move forward going in the SEC championship. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I hate that for Jordan Travers. I wish him the best. So that was the big news. Also, another thing, I just got to mention him, Lincoln Riley. He lost again. And I think Dan Mullen took a great shot at him. I know Feinbaum had a big rant about him. I think Sunday today went kind of viral. Dan Mullen had a funny tweet. Because a report broke that, maybe Chip Kelly, who's the head coach at UCLA, maybe he's on the hot seat, But Dan Mullen did a great tweet. He said, maybe we got the wrong coach in LA that's on the hot seat. And yeah, I mean, Lincoln Riley, Feinbaum, you gotta love or hate Feinbaum, but I mean, his take was just saying that how Lincoln Riley, maybe he lucked up with, having some Heisman winners back at Oklahoma, and he left them to go to USC, and it's just not looking good. I mean, this team was an 11-1 team last year. You got Caleb Williams, Heisman runner, front runner, and you're just struggling. You lost what? You're 7-5 right now. I mean, I just think that shows the leadership, what type of player, what type of coach Lincoln Riley is. And I don't know where USC goes from there. You look at Lindell White, who was a 2-time national champion running back under Pete Carroll when they had that run. And you look at some of his tweets, and he's just like, man, we are not good. And so you don't know how long he's going to last, up there in Pasadena, in USC, yes. So it'll be interesting to see. So that was, I think, so great. This is why I love the student section. He says, the game is at Michigan. So Michigan, Ohio State, it's in Ann Arbor. Woo, I still like Ohio State. I just don't need the game to be close. I need whoever wins that game. They need to be dominant. Hey, Michigan, use all your signals. We know y'all got all the signals. Y'all fired the linebackers coach. We know Harbaugh's not going to be on the sideline. Y'all are going to find some type of way. Listen, stop it with the free Harbaugh shows. Like, this guy is not – like, you admitted that things were going on. Like, you admitted it. For you to write a letter to the Big Ten and accept the allegations, something is going on. So, I mean, I get it. Harbaugh didn't pass away or whatnot, but I get it. You're trying to have internal motivation. But listen, Michigan, Ohio State, whoever wins, I need you to be dominant in your win. We don't need no close win because looking at the playoff committee, I don't think the Michigan AD should be on the playoff committee. I don't think they would allow Greg Bird to be on the playoff committee or any of these SEC ADs to be on the playoff committee. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know what the stuff that's going on in college football with Michigan. I don't know if that AD should be in the playoff committee. So we need one of them to win. That's why I think it's important that maybe Florida can get the ball rolling with FSU, getting a big victory versus FSU. So great comment right there. Thank you, Lushan. So let's go to the NFL rapid fires. We hold things up. So Tua came back. You know, they had coming off a bye week. The Dolphins had a bounce back victory versus the Las Vegas Raiders. And Tua's got a new hairstyle. He had like cornrows, so it's just different type of Tua swag. So it's gonna be interesting to see, new hairstyle from Tua. They bounced back with a victory versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Shouts out to D'Amico Ryans, one of my old teammates. Listen, D'Amico is, man, if I'm quite sure Saban, that one day when he retires 10 years from now, he's going to want to pick his coach, and D'Amico Ryans would be an excellent candidate. You at least got to make the call, But shouts out to D'Amico Ryans. They had a big victory versus the Cardinals, and they right now are in the playoffs. So shouts out to D'Amico Ryans. He's got the Houston Texans role, C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, Mechie, Henry To'oTo'o, Christian Harris, all those guys. And I want to talk about the downside. Yes, again, the Carolina Panthers paid the Dallas Cowboys. And yes, Bryce Young threw another pick six. I think he's probably, I don't know what's going on with Carolina. I don't know if Frank Reich, I didn't think Frank Reich was a good hire from the jump. I think you got to go younger. I think you got to go with one of these young offensive-minded coaches, maybe the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions. I think you got to kind of go that route. But Bryce Young is continuing to struggle. I think Frank Reich, the head coach, took back over offensive play calling duties. So it's just crazy. You don't know what's going on. I think they're going to make a change. The Tepper is going to make a change with the head coach, but Bryce Young is just struggling. I just need Bryce to keep his confidence because he has no help. Offensive line can't block, especially when you're playing these top teams like the Cowboys with these top defenses. Bryce Young doesn't have any help. It doesn't have any help on the outside. These play concepts do not make any sense. Oh my gosh, like. It's just they having receivers run routes in the same place. It just makes no sense. So that's why I think they're going to get rid of Frank Reich. So you're going to see a lot of changeovers. So enough about the bad. Mention the Detroit Lions. Listen, Jahmyr Gibbs scored a touchdown. Jameson Williams scored a touchdown. And Brian Branch is putting up record numbers in the NFL. I think he's the only defensive rookie in NFL history to have 3 tackles for loss for 3 straight games. I mean, that is unheard of. So shouts out to all the Bama guys. And listen, with all this controversy quarterback, Joe Burrow's out for the season. The New York Jets, I don't know why they're still holding on to Zach Wilson. That makes no sense. Why haven't y'all called A.J. McCarron? I want to bring that up here. A.J. McCarron just balled out in the XFL. And if I'm an NFL GM, A.J. McCarron is 10 times better than Zach Wilson. I think he would be a formidable backup, in my opinion. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals, I would be calling on A.J. McCarron. So, especially with Joe Burrow, I mean, he's coming out playing. I think that's just somebody I would call. And I don't know why Robert Saleh stuck with Zach Wilson so long. It's just struggle city. Brian Green says, "So we'll end on these." Says Brian, physical receiver had no Kool-Aid. I wish he had a dog in him. As I don't know about that. I'm not gonna say that. What you don't see, Brian Green. I get your point. A lot of the times, Terrion Arnold's getting that second best receiver. So, a lot of times Kool-Aid's playing the best receiver. So, when you look at that, that's why Kool-Aid is going to get drafted in the first round, because he's locking down the best receiver regardless, whether that's, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, those type of things. Now, to your point, he does need to kind of make sure he have that dog in him. Just work on the little – I think he's got everything covered on the cornerback position. He's physical. I just think he needs to keep that confidence and take it to a new height, and work on the little things in punt return. But, yeah, it's Auburn week. We need to beat Auburn and handle business. Auburn, be 1-0. And, listen, be dominant going on the plane. So, Brian Green says, we'll end on this. He says, Kool-Aid needs a better – not Kool-Aid. Bryce needs a better OC. Yeah, that's why I think Frank Wright it's going to be done after the end of this season. But another great show. Shouts out to the student section. Brian Green, Lushawn, B. Jammin, 6-0, Carla Hinton, Mr. Davis, Jeff Stapleton, Stephen Hicks, Justin Summerlin. All you guys are the fans out there. Tune in next week. Let's get a big victory. RTR. Let's beat those Auburn Tigers. We know we need to work on. So same time, enjoy Thanksgiving weekend. Enjoy your family. Eat some good food. And on Saturday, let's get ready to beat Auburn. So, but next Monday, let's tune in. It'll be SEC Championship week. But let's focus on Auburn this week. Tune in next Monday, same channel, same time here at Football University with me, Matt Caddell.